Good morning. Good morning. The
Good
best to you
morning.
this morning. Happy birthday, too.
You look so handsome. I got to tell you, get better with age. You look good. I
I
like
was
you.
actually, I was actually thinking of doing a program on how to stay young, regardless of your body's age.
Oh, absolutely. I figured that out a long time ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know,
Just, just keep your mind clean.
there you go. Keep your
Don't
mind.
you don't live in your body, you live in your mind.
Doesn't it say somewhere in the Course in Miracles? I somehow remember it having said that it doesn't matter really what we eat or drink. Does it say that anywhere? That
Well, it doesn't say in the course, but basically, people take care of their body like they're living in their body. But the truth is, we live in our mind.
exactly, exactly. So it really doesn't matter what we eat or drink.
Exactly, you got it. When you have a clean mind, you have a pure
Right,
mind.
right.
You're ageless.
That's right.
You're timeless.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. I had my 82nd birthday. Now look at me. I'm just I'm going to stand up
Oh
and
my
show you.
God, 82. Oh my God.
I still have the same shape I had 20 years ago.
You look like a teenager.
Well, anyway, what can I tell you? Well, you know something? Let me brag about it once a year. That's it. The rest of the time, I'm not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me, and that's all that counts, really.
You
So,
must have been a gorgeous teenager because look at you now.
yeah. Oh, thank you.
More
Thank you.
than that, you're a beautiful soul and a
Oh,
gorgeous being, and that's what's beaming through. I mean, it doesn't. You could be, shaggy and toothless, and we would still see the same
yeah.
beautiful Myrna. So
Yes.
grateful for you being as you really are.
That's
Incredible.
exactly right. I see everybody that way too. I really do. When their aura shines through, their energy comes through, it doesn't matter. It's just there. That's all you feel. So I get what you're saying. Doesn't matter, really, you know. Anyway, so it's good to be here again today. It was a whirlwind weekend for me. Yeah, it was a nice weekend. It really was. Anyway.
How did you celebrate your birthday?
Well, very nice actually. It was my boyfriend actually. He's an electronics maven, and he brought me a whole sound system. Really, the sound bars with the speakers in it, and so now I can hook up to music throughout. I mean, it's very nice. It was a nice gift, and it took him a whole weekend to put it together, actually. But going out to dinner was nice. I was with my older daughter and my son-in-law. We had dinner last night. Saturday night, we had dinner with friends that my oldest friend, Gloria, I've known her since I'm a teenager. And we always celebrate each other's birthdays. So Saturday night, we were with her and her husband, and it was very nice, really was.
Good.
So, and the weather was beautiful, no rain, so no, I can't complain. And somehow, I don't know why, but I like being 82. It's crazy. Do I like it? No, I don't know if I really like it. All I know is I feel the way I've always felt. I don't feel any different. And I just feel so energized by that, knowing that you don't have to get old. You don't have to get old. You don't have to get sick. You can just be within the energy of God consciousness, and let yourself feel the beauty of everything. Really, we're rising above the lower level of consciousness into a newer age of energy, which is in fact the age of the heart. Talks about the birth of a new heaven, a new earth, and they talk about that the 7 waves of consciousness, and we're in the 6th wave. And it's the same thing that's been touted all over. You know, if you look for it, you can find the same thing is being said about energy. We're going went from third to fourth, and we're in fourth dimensional energy, and when we get into the fifth dimensional energy, which is the same as the 7 waves of consciousness, we become recognizing that we are one with God, recognizing that our souls are connected to universal consciousness. And when we have that belief, it's just a knowing. And I think we're given that at this stage in time. You wanted to talk about something, Dove. You wanted to talk about the atonement. That's an interesting topic. We discussed it a little bit earlier.
I will discuss that in a second. As usual, I'm going to mention today's lesson is lesson 269, which is my sight goes forth to look upon Christ's face. And Ken Wapnick's commentary, which I always add, says, the face of Christ is the symbol for the innocence of God's Son. And to look upon his face means to look upon our brothers sinlessly. This means we set our judgment aside in the willingness to look through sinless eyes and see the holiness of God's guiltless Son. Now, it's amazing that we started off by talking about you're as young as you see yourself in your mind. And this is speaking about the same thing. Probably what ages you is your belief in guilt. Guilt is the cause of everything that you see in this world. And there's a line in the Course that says, of all the things that you thought caused you pain and suffering, the least of them you ever thought was your belief in guilt. So the idea of differences is the idea that I'm a body. The body is a symbol of separation or the symbol of differences. My body is certainly different from your body and different from all other bodies. And of course, atonement is the inclusion and seeing that we're all included as one. So the atonement was in effect before we were ever born. We just have to accept it. We have to accept it. And I came across a real revelation, at least for me, which I like to share. And I even told Lynn I'd like to share this maybe next Tuesday night as part of our Finding Your Inner Teacher. It was on Kol Nidre, the night before Yom Kippur. I was watching television, and there's a station called JBS, Jewish Broadcasting System or Service, and all night long they were showing Kol Nidre services from various temples, especially around the New York area. And I came across this one where I'm listening to this rabbi talking, and he said something which I never really understood really. I never saw it as clearly as when he actually said it. And I'm reading the words on the screen because I use captions whenever I'm watching, and he's saying we're asking God to grant to us atonement. You know, Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day of the year, is actually the word Kippur is actually the word for atonement. So Yom is the day of, Kippur, atonement. So it's the day of atonement. There's no accident that's the word that Jesus uses in A Course in Miracles. He was a Jew, but he wasn't a regular Bible thumping Jew who just stood on the corner and said prayers all day. He was a mystic and a scene, and he recognized that the things of this world are symbols that are pointing beyond. So, for instance, he did things that the Jewish laws told you not to do, and the rabbis of the time, I forgot the name of those rabbis. If anyone has they can post it.
Yes, the Sanhedrin. The
The
Sanhedrin.
Sanhedrin, yeah, but it's another name for them. They used to question Jesus all the time. If you're so religious, if you know, why do you do this and why do you do that? They're also the ones that said, you know, should you pay taxes to Caesar? And that's a famous question that was asked when basically, yes, the Lynn says it's the Pharisees. That's right. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
knew that you would come up with the Pharisees. They would constantly ask Jesus questions like, if you're such a good rabbi, how come this and how come that? How come you do things on the Sabbath when you're not supposed to do anything on the Sabbath? So they were always challenging him. As it happens, I just want to mention one thing as a sidebar. Regina came up with something. He says, notice that the Pharisees did not exist before Jesus, and notice that after Jesus left, the Pharisees, you didn't hear from them anymore. They were just there to ask Jesus questions. And then she said, thank God they asked him all those questions, because we got to hear from Jesus his answer to these very difficult questions. And of course, you know, one of the main question answer that people remember is when they said, well, should a Jew pay taxes to Caesar? He says, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and give unto God what is God, which is a wonderful way of saying, if it's form, it has nothing to do with God, and what is God's is content. And that's the whole Course in Miracles. Never confuse form, paying taxes or money or the age of the body. Never confuse form with content. Content is peace, love, light. So never confuse symbol with source. And that's like a main idea of the Course in Miracles. So yeah, so the Pharisees just happened to be there, just happened to be there to ask these questions. So we got a much better knowledge of how Jesus was thinking during his 3 years of ministry. Anyway, getting back to what happened on Kol Nidre. So I see this rabbi saying, you know, we go to synagogue to pray, and I'm very familiar with the prayer, you know, like Binu Malkenu, like our Father, our King. I'm sorry I sinned. I said the wrong thing. I was angry. I lied. I didn't tell the truth. It goes on and on and on for like 35 or 40 things that everybody together says, you know, yeah, I did that last year, and I will not do that in the new year. And we're entreating, we're asking God to grant us atonement, and that's why it's called the Day of Atonement or Yom Kippur. I said, wait a minute. That's the exact opposite of the Course in Miracles. The Course in Miracles says, no, you already have atonement. What we're asked to do is to accept it, not to ask for it. So I mean, that's a world of difference. It's like God is not seeing you as sinful at all. He said that what you think happened never happened, that the separation never happened. And you know, in the Course, it tells you in chapter 6, section 2, paragraph 5, he said when the Holy Spirit looks at you, sees you as perfect, and extending that perfection to include your brother as perfect also, you seeing your brother as sinless, as pure, as perfect, invites atonement automatically. So this inclusion invites atonement, where exclusion or seeing differences or separation pushes atonement away. But the atonement was already given. All that we're asked to do is to accept it. And that to me is a revelation, because it's the first time that I mean, here I am, I was born Jewish. And I think half the people who got into the Course in Miracles at the very beginning, whether it was Ken Wapnick or Judy Scotch or a lot of the early people were Marianne Williamson, et cetera, on and on. We're Jewish people, and I think the only reason for that, even though it uses Christian terminology, is that there is it's like the Course is like a magnet, because it does talk about the love of God. And one thing that you can say about all Jews, whether you're talking about the Orthodox, which is, there is a difference between the Orthodox, the conservative, and the Reformed, in how much they follow the original Old Testament, or the laws of Moses, I should say, follow the laws of Moses. The Orthodox follow it to the letter, and then add more to it. The conservatives say, a little of this, a little of that, it's okay. And the Reform just do their own thing. And even within Judaism, the Orthodox don't even look at the Reformed as Jewish people. So there's discrimination even within the religion. But that's the whole idea of A Course in Miracles. The Course says we are all the equal, whole, complete children of God. And as Karen Parenti reminds us, only equals experience and enjoy peace. If you think that someone is lower than you on the totem pole, there's no peace in that. You're still believing in separation. So with that, I'll turn the mic back on over to you, Myrna.
Yeah, this was a lovely talk, because it is right after the Jewish holiday, and it does have significance to millions of people. Yes. And of course, you're so right when you say that. Yeah, we do ask. We go to temple, we pray for a good year, and the rabbi always assures us that we are forgiven for our sins. And as you say, and as the Course in Miracles comes through very clearly with that if we've already been forgiven, that we've never done anything that would require forgiveness, because we've been forgiven. But in temple, when we listen to the sermon of a rabbi, and especially if it's a rabbi that you like listening to, it's a good feeling too to know that God is forgiving, that God is forgiving us for our past sins, even though they never happened. But we don't always know that. We know that God is now benevolent. It's a benevolent consciousness, and forgiving us for our past sins. And also that, it gives us the impetus to want to be giving during the next year, to love our brothers, not to make the same mistakes that we made the previous year. So there's a goodness, there's a benevolence behind it that's wonderful. As I told you earlier, I used to go to temple a few years ago, when I was with a boyfriend who was Jewish. Also, my husband was too. We used to go to temple on the high holy days. Now my current boyfriend is not Jewish. I'm not that I'm getting away from the Judaism, and I did love the fact that my birthday fell out on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year. I love feeling that, because it made me feel very close to connection with God, that this is something that we're sharing that's very special between us. So it's a good feeling. But, to me, I realize it's not about going to temple. It's about really going to church if you want to, just to kind of get yourself into the mode of feeling good about yourself, about your brothers and sisters. We can sort of, go there and become closely connected to it. We're sitting with a congregation in temple or in church. You're with people that are there for the same purpose that you are, and it's a shared experience. So, I totally agree that we become too, I guess, entangled into our religion when Jesus was not a religious person. He was an ACIM. And there's a wonderful book by Dolores Campbell, and it's called Jesus and the ACIMs. And she, it's an interesting book. It really is. The Essenes were really a group that was not religious, but they were. It was more about Jewish mysticism rather than the laws of Judaism. It was an interesting book. In any event, you talk about the different sects of Judaism. There's Reform, there's Conservative, there's Orthodox. In Israel, there's a big problem going on between the Orthodox and the country, because the Orthodox don't want to go to war, but yet they're privy to the taxes and the benefits and all that. And now there's a little bit of an uprising because, well, if you're going to share in the, in all the goodies, well, maybe you have to fight as well. So that's what's happening. So I hear. I have a son-in-law who's Israeli, and he keeps me up on the current news. But in any event, it's just all about the beauty of recognizing who we are, recognizing that we are in contact with consciousness always. And this is what this age that we're in now is giving us more of. You and I talked about the age of the heart, and that was the latest book. I've been reading it because what it's doing is sort of showing me in different words what this age is all about. We talk about consciousness, fourth dimensional consciousness, fifth dimensional consciousness. Well, we're in fourth dimensional consciousness, which is a preparation for fifth dimension consciousness. And now the age of the heart calls it age, the seven stages of consciousness. And right now we're in the sixth stage, just like fourth dimensional consciousness. Well, now we're in the sixth stage of development in consciousness, and tells us again that we are recognizing that we're one with God, that we are holy children of God, connected to all our brothers and sisters, bar none. And that when we feel that, we know that, then the time becomes less and less constricted, because in this book, time was developed because we needed time. We had gotten away from the consciousness of God. We created time, but even time, God doesn't know time as we know it, timelessness, linear time. But we created that because that's what we're living in. We're living, our lower consciousness developed time. But even time, it says that even time can constrict love, because love is love, and time can't destroy love, because the law of love is that when you decide to go back to it, when you decide to accept it as what you are, then time only crumbles, because love has to accept you back. If you want to go to love, which is what you are, love cannot deny you that, even in time. So time now is becoming constricted. As time goes on, it'll crumble. And we'll just be in complete consciousness. So that was it's an elevating experience for me to read this book, Age of the Heart. Anyway, I turn it back to you, Dov.
Okay. And you and I were talking before we came on the phone. I told you that there's a letter going around, and I told you I would forward it to you. I just forwarded it to you, and it's the announcement that the Age of the Heart is going to have a book launching. I think it's coming up on October. I just posted in the room. I also, it's October 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a place to register for it. And of course, you're going to have Sebastián Blaksley, who this book he's the scribe. He didn't author it. It was given to him by a boy. So I'm not going to get into that. But for those people who have bought the book, this is the first book I bought. Literally, if I told you in 30-35 years is true, I don't buy books. I listen to audios, absolutely, but I don't buy books. I bought this book. In fact, I'm thinking of contacting Glenn Hoverman, the publisher, and say, I'd love to have Sebastian turn it into an audio so I can listen to it. Because I was saying to Myrna, I open the book and read a paragraph or two, and that's it. Because I don't really read stuff from cover to cover at all. I do believe in random openings and seeing what it says to me. And actually, the people who know the book really well say that any one paragraph is the whole book. So I've been doing that, looking at a paragraph at a time. But basically, there is going to be a book launching October 28th, which is just about a month from now. And it says, I'm delighted to invite you to an online book launch for The Age of the Heart, the birth of a new heaven and a new earth, an uplifting message from Jesus, recently received through Sebastián Blaksley. A quantum leap, a quantum leap is occurring in the history of humankind, a movement from the age of reason to the age of the heart. Many of us sense this to be true. This leap is well underway, is divinely ordained, is unstoppable, and we are essential actors in this drama. The Age of the Heart explains how an enormous transformation that will hugely impact everyone and every social system is occurring both individually and globally. It explains the turmoil being experienced both personally and socially, which is but the birth pangs of a universal transmutation. And Myrna, I put all this in the chat for you. I don't know if you're reading it. I also sent it to you in your email, of course. The reflection of changing consciousness. It's a reflection of consciousness changing. It explains how elevated consciousness is ushering in an era of unprecedented splendor, the living expression of the love we really are. And I got to admit, I'm happy to see it. You might say, in an age where there seems to be a lot of division and separation, I look forward to this awakening that brings you from what you were saying from the fourth dimension to the 6 out of 7 rungs on the ladder. And with that, Myrna, I'll turn the mic back on over to you.
Yeah, that's lovely, because I've been reading that, and what you're saying is resonating with me, because I am getting into that book, The Age of the Heart, and I'd like to register for that class as well in October. By the way, I want to just say thank you, Regis, if you're listening, for my happy birthday message. It's so sweet. It makes me feel that my birthday is not over yet, although it was yesterday. But it was nice, Doug, when I was looking on Facebook, and they were like, last night there was 17 people that wished me a happy birthday. And I thought that was so nice, because now looking through the list of people I haven't seen or heard from in years. And it goes to show you that connections are never broken. That these people that were, oh my God, I'm looking at the names, and I'm really uplifted, because that they took the time to wish me a happy birthday. So you never really lose connections. You're always connected to your brothers and sisters. Love is never lost. It's always front and center. But we need to accept it, know it, and it's a knowing. This consciousness, this age of consciousness that we're talking about, is a wonderful place to be, because especially when you're feeling it, and you can feel that great consciousness all around you, and things happen. They do happen. I wasn't even going to bring this up, but I will, because Very interesting. I remember telling you about a car accident I had, and the person that I had the car accident with was very easy, very nice about it. Although my car sustained very little damage, maybe a couple of scratches here and there, but her car really, I don't know how there could have been such a big differentiation. Anyway, the person was accepted it very well. The insurance company deemed that I wasn't at fault because I was on the main street. She was pulling out of a driveway, out of a gas station. It stopped in the middle. I mean, I had no choice but to go around her. Anyway, didn't end there. Turns out now I'm hearing from the insurance company. Well, the person, she got a lawyer, and now they want me to sign an affidavit saying that I was at fault. And this is from my own insurance company, Geico. And they want me to list my my assets. I'm saying, wait a minute, something is wrong with this picture. But I bring that up because there was a time that I would have really been upset. I mean, here, this is not even my fault. What's this world coming to? I don't have to live. I would have really gotten into the dynamic, the dramatics of it. But you know what I did? I tell you, I called a lawyer, I found a lawyer, told the story to. He says, that's bullshit. He says, just, if they call you again, just tell them to talk to me. And I was able to let it go, forget it. It's an illusion. And if it's not an illusion, it's not a reality for sure. But, the words, let go, let God. Are the words that I heard. Let go and let God. And so I see that, I am in that wave of energy because I'm not going to let something that perhaps comes up that may be a deterrent to my peace and allow it to, to destroy my peace. Now, I won't allow any of that to happen. And I know that this too will pass, whatever, and I'm able to see that, although this was obviously staged because now I'm being sued and the person is claiming, personal injuries, they're making a big deal about this. And, we don't buy into it, then we realize that it doesn't make any sense anyway. It really doesn't. And so I retained my peace very quickly. And I'm going to stay in that peace. I'm just not going to allow it to manifest into something that is not going to blow up because my feelings about it are okay. My feelings about it are recognizing that it's so small, it's so minute, it really is, in comparison to this gigantic wave of wonderful energy that we're all connected to, that we're now seeing better than ever before, because we're at that stage of consciousness where we're not ignorant anymore, not ignorant souls that are just bodies. We've developed into much greater beings of understanding of truth, and I like being there, and I'm not going to let anything take me away from that. So I really wanted to bring that up because it shows me something. It shows me something within myself that I'm able to realize has grown. I've grown in my consciousness in that respect. So anyway, I can turn it over to you, Doug.
Well, as I'm listening to you, I hear you use the word it's grown in consciousness, and I'm thinking how when I first started the Course in Miracles, it was like the late 1970s. I wanted to get a set of the books. There was only one place in all of New York City where you can go to get the Course in Miracles. That was Wise's bookstore. Wise's dealt in mystical books and things like that. And that was the only place you could actually purchase the Course in Miracles. And in those days, I remember I was going 3 or 4 years studying the Course. I had no idea that there was like any communities doing the same thing. Until one day I saw where there's a Northeast conference for A Course in Miracles being held at the Plaza Hotel. And I said, really? And I registered for it. It was at the Plaza Hotel. Actually, it was in 1980. And I realized that there was a room full of people. There were like 40, 50 people who were all obviously doing the Course in Miracles. And in those days, I mean, that was like a ripple. The guy who organized it was a rabbi who was teaching the Course in Miracles. His brother was the first publisher of A Course in Miracles for the Foundation for Inner Peace. All that aside, in those days, hardly anyone ever heard of it. These days, you go on social media, and almost everybody who's a course person mentions ACIM or UCDM, which is the Spanish course, as part of their profile. Instantly, you want to identify with other course people, and it's a wave. It went from a ripple to a wave, and I'm so glad that I'm getting back to the book by Sebastián Blaksley. He received this voice, which he identifies as Jesus, who says, okay, it's time for this wave to become global. And whether you're doing the course or not, there is this. I don't want to use the 100th monkey principle, but it's in the consciousness of mankind to see things differently, to come from the darkness into the light. Just my willingness to see light instead of seeing darkness or guilt or sin is what makes the wave a tidal wave. Literally, it's like a wave that will move mountains, and I totally believe in it. I just realized that Patricia Pierce, who's one of the group that I attend once a month with Glenn Hoverman, Vicky's in that group, and John Mundy's in the group, a number of course people, although Glenn is really the publisher of also the Course of Love, which for most people is very close to the Course in Miracles. He tries to keep his equal number of Course of Love people as Course in Miracles people in the group. Although many people are now talking about Joel. Obviously, Vicky talks about Joel a lot. She teaches, and Dr. What's his name from Maine? Can't remember his name, but he was a guest on John Mundy's program. He now teaches Joel as well. So it's all like coming together. There really is no real differences. We're all talking about the consciousness of love, the consciousness of seeing light instead of living in the dark. And I spoke, I think last week, when you're living in the dark, you're going to walk into walls. Literally, you're going to walk into walls, because the walls are not the walls of this world, like walking into a building. No, my thoughts are the walls. Thoughts are concepts. And as Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, chapter 31, section 5, salvation, and remember, only salvation can be said to cure, can be said to be an escape from all concepts. And what is a concept? It's not your body. It's the thoughts in your mind. Like you and I were talking, the way to stay young, instead of taking care of your body, to purify your mind. We don't live in the body. People say, well, I got to work my body out and go to the gym. I got to treat my body right, eat the right foods. That's thinking that you're a body. No, we don't live in the body. We live in our mind. Now, you're either living in a dark mind that believes in separation and guilt, or you're living in a mind of light where there is no separation, because the light says we are one. So I just thought I'd bring that up. I see some new messages. Yeah, Dr. Rod Schellberg is the one who's a part of Glenn Hoverman's group. He's also a Joel teacher. Vicky's a Joel teacher. And John Mundy is including more of the infinite way in his own teachings as well, which obviously he had Rod Shelberg on as his guest teacher in a couple Sundays ago. Back over to you, and of course we are too, because like tonight, Glorian is sharing on Joel Goldsmith, who basically a lot of people believe might have been the voice that Helen listened to, since he passed on in 1964, and in 65 Helen hears his voice and seems to be the infinite way coming to you in a new name called the Course of Miracles. So back on over to you, Myrna.
Yeah, the Course in Miracles was an amazing gift. And it brought us to closer to consciousness, true consciousness, God consciousness, than it would have happened. It would not have happened as quickly for many of us, because it sort of catapulted us into a new understanding. And I always reach for that sentence where it says we can save 1,000 years of consciousness, which means that if we didn't know our true consciousness, we'd be living in the same turmoil, the same undeveloped consciousness that we all really came from. Of course, we weren't originated from that. We originated from God consciousness, but we created our own. And in doing that, we gave up the truth of who we are, and because we didn't know it. But because I said before, because love is what it is, nothing can deny us the wanting to come back to love if we so choose. Love, because love is what it is, has to accept, because it's unconditional. Love is unconditional. So, this is a good era to be living in, especially, if you don't turn on the news, it's even better, because, the news tries to bring us down and take us away from that. But I won't even get into that. I wanted to just read from a little bit from The Age of the Heart. So this page 59, it's called The Humanized Christ, the Humanized Christ. Graceful soul, the sixth wave of consciousness is the time in which we are now living, which is wonderful. We're living in this time. It includes the time from the resurrection of Jesus Christ until the full realization of deified humanity. The sixth age of consciousness represents human nature manifesting as an expression of Mother, Father, God. Once accomplished, it remains united within itself in all of creation. The humanized Christ manifested in each human. So each human has that spark. Simply put, humanity reunited with love will cause all creation to reunite with it. How is this possible? It is easily understood. Remember that what you join becomes holy because of who you are, just as love is created by virtue of your being. This has always been the case, as it is in me. So this is part of that. And that's the sixth, sixth wave of consciousness. And now I'm just going to jump ahead to the seventh. That's on page 61. A new heaven, a new earth. Let us now take the final step in understanding what is revealed in this dialogue. The seventh and the last wave of consciousness is the era that arises as an effect of the current one, a state in which creation consciously lives as the unity that it is with God. In such a kingdom, humanity, and with it creation, not only knows that there is a God who is love and becomes one with it, but consciously lives as the expression of Christ in truth. That is, as the son or daughter of Mother, Father, God, who always was and always will be. In short, the consciousness of affiliation returns to the truth of what is. So that is the final stage within the human condition. To experience that, we'll be experiencing that. It means that all fear is gone, is a thing of the past, because it's an illusion anyway. So fear doesn't exist in that consciousness. And we bring it into it because we're recognizing that we are one with God. We recognize that consciousness is who we are. God consciousness. The book differentiates God consciousness is not the same as universal consciousness. Universal consciousness, I believe, is the sonship, all of humanity. But God consciousness now is the place that we are moving into. But being in universal consciousness, once we realize that it is a healing place for us, that type of consciousness is really a prelude to the final step. And the Course in Miracles constantly promises us this, that we'll all take this final step. But of course, we go through all the all the aspects of what lies before that. So I think that because we're in the sixth wave of consciousness, there's really nothing to fear here, nothing at all. I used my car accident as a example of just to see how I was reacting, really recognizing that I'm not going to let go of something that is part of me, something that does not allow for fear, does not allow for anything but truth. And that truth is the blessing by which I live. And I'm looking at that word blessings behind you, dove blessings, because that's what we are. We live in the blessing of truth, and we see ourselves as blessed. It is a wonderful step forward. I find if you ask anybody, and I like to do this, do you feel blessed? Most every single person that I speak to and ask that question will answer, yes, I feel blessed. Even though they may be in the throes of problems and whatever it is what they're going through, they'll always say that, yes, I do feel blessed. I love knowing that people get it, really. There's a certain part of each of us that recognizes that we are blessed souls. We have to be blessed souls if we come from the creation of all that is, which is only love. And what greater blessing could that be? So, and I just want to add one thing. It was my birthday yesterday, and I want to mention something to my daughter Karen. Maybe this is a good time to do it, because I have Karen is the only one that I can't seem to resurrect the truth with her of what I am, who she is. And of course, she's a beautiful soul. I mean, I see that in her. She's an accomplished, beautiful woman who is loving and caring and a wonderful mother and all these things. And I'm so proud of her. Yet I believe that every so often what happens is that she allows the past to get in the way, and she brings that into the current relationship, and it sort of pushes us apart. And I hadn't really been connecting with Karen these last couple of months. And she's in my heart. She's in my soul. I love her beyond measure. And yet I have felt her love in the past. But every now and then I feel as if she lets go of it and doesn't let me share it with her. And that's how I feel. She may have a completely a different idea about all of this, a completely different rendition about what's going on. But I know she called me yesterday for my birthday, which I was very happy about. And I just wanted, and if she's listening, I just want her to know that I see her soul, I recognize it. And I want her to know that I'm her mother. I will always be her mother. And that I love her. Anyway, I turn this back to you, Dove. I didn't expect that, but I just wanted to reveal it.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. The word blessing, I see Lynn Johnson wrote in the chat, yes, I am blessed. Now, whenever I see the word blessing, I always think of Lynn Johnson because she was born on February 9th. And February 9th is the 40th day of the year. And lesson 40 says, I am blessed as the Son of God. So we're all blessed, you know. The other place in the course where it says the exact same thing in different words. And the word blessing, by the way, is the word barucha. Barucha in the Hebrew, which Jesus spoke, you know. You say your barachas, your blessings. In those days, they didn't really call them prayers. We're not praying for something. We're sharing our blessings, our barachas. And after every baracha, you say Amen, Amen. So the other place where it says the same thing using different words, of course, you know, he's always saying the same thing. He repeats himself over and over and over, saying different words. So the other place is in chapter, I guess it's chapter 5. Chapter 5 is it chapter 5, section 5? Yeah. So he says, this is what he says: error cannot really threaten truth. Which is what you've been saying, Myrna. You know, there's nothing to fear. Error can't really threaten truth. And you know, the whole course is only the truth is true, and what is true cannot be threatened. And what is untrue doesn't even exist. I mean, that's the Course in Miracles, all in a few lines. Error cannot really threaten truth, which can always withstand it, no matter what. Anything that happens in this world of illusion, is this world that doesn't even exist, can't even touch the peace of God. The peace of God has no opposite. There's nothing outside of the peace of God. Goes on to say, only the error is vulnerable. You're free to establish your kingdom where you see fit, but the right choice is inevitable. And it says in the Course in Miracles, the ego hates the word inevitable. It says that the ego hates the word inevitable. The right choice is inevitable if you remember this. And here's where he says you are blessed. Spirit is in a state of grace forever. Your reality is only spirit. In other words, I'm not this body, I am spirit. God doesn't create bodies, he creates spirit. Therefore, you are in a state of grace forever. And I posted that in the room as well as here in the chat. And, you know, the mind that if you ask a person, are you blessed? And they say, no, you know, you should hear all the things that happened to me. You know, how could I be blessed? The line, in the Course in Miracles, which I think is one of the most important lines in the entire course. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be happy? Choose one. You can't have both. So the answer is yes. I am so happy that I am blessed. Or you can take no. I'm right. Others are blessed. I'm not blessed. Others are blessed, but I'm not blessed. That's the same thing as saying to God, God, I'm right. You didn't love me. You didn't bless me. You blessed others. You didn't bless me. That's exactly what that line is all about. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? Choose one. You can't have both. And that basically is why the only reason that we're in this situation where I have to live in a little fear because anything can happen. I can be hurt. I can die. I can be shot. I can, all those things. Because I believe that I'm unblessed. The body is not blessed. Spirit lives in a state of grace, not the body. So my willingness to say, I denied the truth. Yeah, I am blessed as the son of God, and I deny the truth. And if you deny a brother a blessing, you're denying yourself. So if you deny your brother that he's spirit and you see him as this behavior, look at what you did. You're guilty, and you should be indicted. You should go to prison. You should do this. As long as you see something outside of you as impure, as not blessed, as a criminal, as you've done something bad, you're guilty and you should be punished. As long as you do that to a brother, you're doing it to yourself. If I deny a blessing to a brother, I deny myself. He tells you that in chapter 7, section 7, called the totality of the kingdom. And then he says, denial is as total as love is. And when you say, what do you mean denial is as total? That's right. Denial is not a small thing like, it's a river running through Egypt called the Nile River. No, denial in the mind of the Son of God is as total as love is. So you can deny that you're the Son of God. You can say, hey, Father, you didn't do the right thing. I have to go out and make my own world. I'm going to be better. I want more than you're giving me. I want more, and I want to be special. So the person who thinks that they're right is the person who thinks that they're special, because if you're right, someone else has to be wrong. And as long as you believe in right and wrong, you believe in separation or division. And that's what this world is all about. That's why the world looks exactly the way it does right now, because there's a part of my mind that thinks that I'm right and others are wrong. And I know that I'm right and they're wrong. But that split, which is not happening in the world, is actually happening in the mind of the Son of God, who believes that he is this body, that he's separate from other bodies. That's why the last unanswered question, and I always say, when Jesus uses the word last, he wants you to listen up. The last unanswered question is, do you not see that all of your suffering, all of your misery, all of your pain, all of your hurts, all of your fears comes from your strange belief, this lie, that you, the Son of God, is powerless, a victim? Really? He's laughing. He's laughing because he knows the exact opposite is true. But for us to know that it's true, we have to recognize that we have denied the truth. And the only way home is for us to deny the denial, to negate the negation. I don't want to be right anymore. And I think I posted this in the room. I also posted it here in the chat. The one question you want to ask yourself every single day: what belief, what lie am I telling myself that I'm right about, that I don't want to be right anymore? What lie, what belief do I think that I'm right and others are wrong, that I don't want to be right anymore? And with that, I see we're just about the end of time. Thank you so much, Myrna, for our usual Tuesday sharing. And reminding everyone, tonight is ACIM Zoom session at 7 o'clock, from 7 to 8:30, I think it is. And it starts with maybe it's 7 to 8, I'm not sure. And it starts off tonight. We're gonna have Glorian speaking on the infinite way. So all are invited, 7 o'clock. If you don't have the Zoom link, just ask Lynn Johnson or myself. Be glad to give you the Zoom link. See you all. Blessings, 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 Myrna.
Thank you.
Happy,
Yes,
happy birthday again, and happy
Thank you.
birthday and blessings to all always.
yeah, yes. Same to you, honey. See you
Thank
soon.
you guys. Thank you
Bye.
guys so very much.
Thank
And
you.
just before you go, I just wanted to say one thing, because I love listening to Myrna, and she was talking about looking at the news. And, I used to be like desperately watching the news all the time. And what I came to understand, this is the truth just in the last week or so, that everyone is doing their part. And everyone is doing their job, and they're doing their job perfectly, whether they're, appearing to be attacking or having a problem, or they're running into your car or whatever. Just as you were saying, this is a part of the plan. And really, it's to wake us up and to make us remember, and to move us into that next dimension. And, I love it that you were talking about the moving upward in dimensions, because remember, there was a group in the 60s called the Fifth Dimension, and they sang a song called The Age of Aquarius. And I think they picked that name, the Fifth Dimension, just because it sounded cool, but never once realized that that was what was actually happening. And so I love it that you mentioned the dimensional shift that we're going through right now.
Yeah.
So
I love that you mentioned the fifth dimension. That's right. It's one of my favorite songs. I never really put it together. The age of the interesting that they would sing the age of Aquarius. I think we are in the age of Aquarius now, are we not?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you. And that what we
Okay.
can say?
Actually, we just entered the age of Aquarius just recently, by the way. I want to mention that quote, spirit is in a state of grace forever. Forever, your reality is only spirit, comes from text chapter 1, section 3, paragraph 5. So it's in the very first chapter. Spirit is in a state of grace forever.
Thank
I
you.
remember that. Lesson 135. 135. All right. Thanks you guys so much. I love you both.
Love
And
you.
we will see you all tonight, I hope.
Yeah.
Happy birthday again, Myrna.
Thanks.